having been a financial advisor for almost 20 years, one of the most common questions I used to be asked is, "Hey, Azul, how much should I be saving for retirement?" And people never liked my answer, but with rare exception, my answer was, you should be saving more. How much should you be saving? More. And why did I say that? And as importantly, how can you get to where you need to get on a saving standpoint so that you can have a secure financial future and maybe, if you want, retire early? So the first reason I say most of us should be saving more is America, at least Americans, we are horrible savers. Almost half of all Americans report that they have $0 saved for retirement, and 80% of all Americans have less than $100,000 saved for retirement. And life is expensive, and we have a long period of time that most of us need to plan for retirement. So we need our savings, our retirement accounts, to last a long time. And part of the reason for that is the uncertainty with Social Security. Why do we need to save more? Well, none of us know what's going to happen with Social Security. Now, I'm not an alarmist. I do not think Social Security is going away. But we as a country have some very difficult decisions that we need to make about Social Security. And unfortunately, we need to do that relatively soon. Janet Yellen, who's the Secretary of the Treasury, who also heads up the Board of Trustees for Social Security, reports that Social Security, the trust fund, is going to run out of money by 2034, which, as I record this, is just 10 years away. Now, just because the trust fund has run out of money, it doesn't mean Social Security goes away. The current taxes that people are paying into Social Security is sufficient to fund 70 to 80% of the cost of the payments going out to the Social Security beneficiaries. But that is a dramatic reduction, 70, 80%. So if we don't do anything, most of us are looking at a future where there's fewer benefits one way or another with Social Security. So again, I'm not an alarmist. I do think we'll figure it out. I think the solution likely involves higher taxes for both our employers and probably for us as employees. But we have that uncertainty, and because of that uncertainty, we need to save a little bit more money. Okay, another reason we need to save more money is because life is expensive, and it's much more expensive today than it was 3 decades ago. And that's not just because of inflation, it's also because of healthcare costs. Healthcare costs are an enormous part of our expenses in retirement, and many people think, well, once I turn 65, I'll finally qualify for Medicare, and then my healthcare insurance problems will go away. Well, yes and no. Medicare is an incredibly important program, but unfortunately it doesn't cover everything, and it's not free once you turn 65. So Fidelity reports that the average retiree, once they reach age 65, needs to budget a little over $150,000 in total for the rest of their life to cover things like your Medicare premiums, but then also things that Medicare doesn't cover. So that's a lot of money. It's $157,000 per person. So for a married couple, that's $315,000 in addition to your other expenses that we need to worry about. And if you look at, according to the Federal Reserve's survey that they do every 3 years through the Survey Consumer Finance, the median American household net worth at 55 to 64 is only $365,000. So that's right before you're retiring, and that includes the value of your home. So according to Fidelity, our healthcare costs could cover all of that. It could eat up all of those savings. So life's more expensive, and it's not just healthcare. If you own a home, which 3/4 of us do as we approach retirement, it used to be that it gave us a very strong sense of security knowing that we owned our home. But unfortunately now the cost of home property insurance has gone up dramatically, the cost of property tax has gone up dramatically, and then the maintenance we all have to do on our houses the cost of that has gone up. So life is more expensive, and in particular, the cost of home ownership has gone up, much like healthcare costs has gone up. The other, number four, the other point is many of us, most of us, are 25% poorer today than we were just 4 or 5 years ago. If you look at how much inflation has been in aggregate over the last 4 or 5 years, it's essentially 25% as I record this. So most of us, if we had the same amount of money today as we did 5 years ago, we are 25% poorer because the cost of everything has gone up. So it's super, because of that, you know, the reality is we have to save more money. We have to have a bigger nest egg in order to fund things that are now more expensive. And yes, inflation has come down, but inflation is not negative, right? So the costs are never coming. My $3 box of Raisin Bran cereal, which is now $6, is never coming back to $3, right? I quit buying the brand name. So our costs have inflated, and unfortunately, they're not coming back down. So what do we do? How do we protect ourselves? How do we get there? Before I get there, I did mention there were 5 reasons that how much money do we need to save? We need to save more. The 5th reason is just the amount of government debt that our country owes. Our country owes over $100,000 per man, woman, and child in the United States. $100,000, and if you assume just 5% interest rate on that, that's $5,000 a year just in the interest costs for every man, woman, and child in the United States. And you know, for the average American earning $55,000, $60,000 a year, that's a significant amount of their take-home pay just for the interest rate costs of our national debt. So those are the 5 reasons that we need to save more money. So what do we do? How do we get there? Well, first off, fortunately, there's a hack. And it's a double-edged sword. It's not just enough to save, but we also have to invest. So investing our money wisely. Now, the older we get, the more we have to be careful with risk, because we have less opportunities for our money to grow. We have less opportunity to put more money in. So yes, it's important to invest our money. This is not financial advice. I don't know your situation, but one of the most important decisions that we make as our nest egg grows is how do we invest this nest egg? And for that, I urge you to work with a financial advisor to get that asset allocation right. What percent of your portfolio is going to be in stocks? What percent is going to be in short-term, high duration, high quality bonds to provide some stability? Your asset allocation, for most of us, determines over 80% of our investing success. So our investment results are being able to beat inflation, being able to invest wisely, being able to avoid making mistakes with how we invest is so important. And while all of this I'm talking about saving more money, we want to make sure that we're not sacrificing to a point where we're giving up the youth of our senior years, the youth of our middle age, and the youth of our youth, right? We also want to enjoy our journey, which is why I made this video here, which are 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy our journey more. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.